All right, I'm 365 Days of Horsemanship, day 114. I'll probably do, I think, this is like 114 part 2. Yeah, I'm going to do Elsa's like separately before this, so it's like stupid me even saying this because by the time you see this, you'll have already seen that one. But anyway, I just got back from Elsa's. It's the evening. I've literally just driven back from the New Forest. And it's still light and I just couldn't resist coming up to check in on the ponies on my way home. Oh, and I've had such good sessions with both of them. I really just feel like all the screws have been tightened up and everything's just really just precise, and my timing's really good and my feel's really good, and it just feels amazing. I came down to see Lawrence and he looked up at me as I was approaching, so I stopped and had that moment with him, and then he focus changed back to himself, and so I kind of went back into supportive leadership, just kind of walking down towards the field. Came in and we kind of did like a slow approach with him, just like stopping and looking and thinking, and us being in flow together, and then walking towards, and I was walking towards him. It felt kind of nice. It felt like a nice walk that we could do together. And then he's quite self-focused. I think he's quite itchy. So he was very stuck in self-focus today. I'll talk a little bit more. Well, actually, I've already talked about it, so it's fine. I'm saying I'll talk a little bit more for those of you who don't know the clinic, but I'm going to do that later. It's just because I'm filming these videos the wrong way around. So he's really stuck in self-focus. And I'm noticing this because of his ears. And so I'm trying to be in a lot of supportive leadership with him until he changes focus to a different category. And while I'm doing this, I'm just walking around him in supportive leadership. And I'm kind of realizing while I'm doing this, actually how little supportive leadership I still offer him versus how much like flow and followership. I think I'm thinking about the leadership spectrum. I think actually often I'm in followership with him. And it was interesting to watch him notice that getting my attention and my flow had like suddenly got more difficult, and you could see him trying to figure it out. And I think finding the balance between making things more difficult and making them more easy is really important. And definitely, scratching and massaging and all of those things are also types of supportive leadership. I think it's just watching the clinic this weekend, I think it's about whether or not it's getting better or whether it's getting worse. And I think definitely I've left it before until he starts to feel worse about it, or until he decides it's time to stop, which is the wrong time, right? And so I just played a lot around, just walking around and then just being in flow with him when he changed focus to a different category. And after some time, he started to feel less concerned about his itches. And he came over to the hay and he ate some hay. And I was feeling good about it, and I went to leave. And I went to leave and I looked back, and he was looking at me. And so I stopped and went into flow with him. And he came and got me and pulled me back in and took me back to the hay in a really nice, slow walk. And we walked there together, and he just kept me there by the hay with him for a little longer, which was really nice. And I felt really good about that. I felt like it was like I'd said I was leaving, and he'd said, no, I'd rather you came back. And he asked me very politely. And so I came back and we had another couple of minutes. And I went to say goodbye to him. And actually I did say goodbye to him, and then he went to like nudge me to itch him. And I think that I could have left it maybe on a slightly better note, but it has also worked out for me before where I've left on him wanting to push me in that way, and that has been a lesson for him. I don't think that it's the best time to have left, but I'm really happy with how the session went. Yeah, definitely when the session is that good, I find it hard to find a place to leave. Usually because I could have left sooner, and I stayed longer because it felt good and everything was great and I just wanted the good feeling. And I think, that's human nature, and I think it's also about enjoyment, and leaving on the best possible moment is great, but I think maybe sometimes it's not realistic especially when as a human you want to really enjoy all the good moments, and that's okay too, you know. It just makes the process slower, but ultimately, does the speed really matter if you're enjoying it? So I'd had this really good session with Lawrence, and then I came to Mia, and she looked up at me over the fence, and I kind of came in and I wasn't really sure what to do. I've spoken with Elsa in bits and pieces about her over the weekend, because I've sort of come to the conclusion that I just really need to walk until I get the focus category change. And if it takes me 45 minutes, then it takes me 45 minutes. And I just have to do it. If it takes me an hour, it takes me an hour. If it takes me two, it takes me two. I just have to commit. And I didn't want to commit. You know, my wild didn't want to be tamed. My impatience didn't want to be tamed. But I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it today, because I don't really have very long. You know, I need to get home. I need to get ready. I'm at work tomorrow. I'm on a 12-hour shift. So it's really long. And yeah, so I know I can't commit to like being here for a whole hour with her. And so I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to start walking, because actually today there was a horse at the clinic, where the lady thought, the owner thought that she would need to walk for a very long time. And actually it wasn't anywhere near as long as she thought. And I thought, you know, maybe it's me, you know, maybe I'm making this horse really difficult by my resistance to just accept that I've got to walk. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to walk for as long as I can. And if I feel like I'm walking and nothing is happening, I'll just lower my expectations until I get something that I feel that I can flow with. I'll just see what I get. And after about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, I walked over close to her and she immediately looked up, did a focus change, looked at me, and I was like, oh my God, went into flow with her. And it was interesting because it took me twice to notice this. And I think that this is why I only get one good, because this has happened before where I get one good time. I get one good time per session where she focus changes, and then I can't get it again no matter how hard I try, even though obviously you shouldn't be trying hard. That's like the antithesis of what you should be doing. You should be not caring. But either way, that's like the only good focus change that I get, the only category change that I get. And so I was there with her in flow, and I'm walking with her, you know, every step she takes, I take a step. And then I notice, I mean, after, I don't know, a minute or a minute and a half, that I'm no longer by her shoulder, I'm by her ribs. And I'm like, oh, I've stayed here too long, I need to leave. So off I go with my supportive leadership, and I'm going around and I'm walking and I come back past her other side and her other shoulder, and immediately she looks up and she's like, stop. So there I go, and I'm doing my flow with her, and I'm trying to be exactly like her, like even down to like my weight in my leg and like where she's shifting her weight and where her head is, and I'm trying to like follow the arc with my arc. And then I realize that she's moved me and I'm further back, and now I need to leave. And after that I couldn't get another another category change. And I'm walking and I'm realizing that maybe this is why I only get 1 or 2 good category changes per session, because she gives me the change that I want. I go there, but then I stay there too long until it gets worse, and I don't leave fast enough. I'm staying for too long. I'm putting that expectation on her. Like, she wants me to be in flow with her. She just doesn't want me right there for too long. And then she doesn't ever trust me to know when to leave, because I always stay too long. I'm like, okay. So I'm walking. And I think in an ideal world, that is then an opportunity for me to walk for as long as it takes to get that category change. And then I stay there, wherever that is, for a short period of time, and then I leave before it gets worse. That would be the ideal thing to do. I don't have that time today, so I'm gonna have to put it in the bank. I'm gonna have to put it on the shelf and accept that it's a learning moment and say it's okay. I'm gonna work on it tomorrow. I don't need to fix it today. I can fix it tomorrow, and that's okay. I can just be grateful that I learned it today for tomorrow. So I'm excited to play with that tomorrow. I think I've learned something important about why things are difficult for her with me. So I feel good. I feel really good. Yeah, really happy to have seen Elsa. It was definitely super timing. I just want to spend as much time with her as I can, really. Yeah, happy days.